I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not playing these stupid fucking games. And so it's, it's Chris Fettis. We had to get involved with Chris Fettis because we had people telling us that they're gonna sue Chris and they're gonna do this and
Right.
they're gonna come after him and they're gonna ruin his reputation. And it just got to the point where, I mean, on that one, nobody even knows this, but that one I called you and I said, I want to fund Chris's legal battle, and I want him to whoever's making this shit up about him and coming after him and trying to ruin his fucking life, we are going to sue them, and then we're going to sue him again, and then we're going to sue him again, and then we're going to sue him again so they don't have anywhere to fucking live, so their kids can't go to school. So I'm so fucking tired of people fucking with these guys for coming on here telling their story, and because they tell their story, it jet launches their business, and they're able to get out of the fucking the Navy SEAL operator mindset and move on with their fucking lives.
This is a problem that we keep seeing, and a lot of it is viewpoint or content based, because we are treating people differently based on what they have to say, whether people like it or not, and also, quite frankly, what their rank is.
Yep.
And yeah, I do want to clear up one point, if you don't mind. Walt Allman has only been an admiral for a few months, okay? And he was the commandant of midshipmen at the Naval Academy before. He recently put on 1 star, and then he became the acting WARCOM commander when Jamie Sands got fired. So a lot of the things that you were talking about with Matt that involved, where you were talking about Walt, the reality is that was before he transferred to that position. So it is the WARCOM commander that you were referring to, but a lot of that was Sands, Keith Davids, Wyman Howard, Matt's, a good friend who said, delete me. And some of it even going back to Colin Green and before. But, what you have here is you have these, people that once you get above a certain rank, it does become political. And they are doing things, not all of them, but a lot of them are doing things to just try and get another star and to try and move up the ladder. And so anybody who puts out information that may make them look bad or, may upset somebody, they want to try and crush that. It's not right. And what they've done, I think Matt's case is one of the most extreme of this, where because his factual, unclassified book embarrassed President Obama, that created this situation where they had to crush him. And you have these people, making decisions saying, I want to hurt this guy, I want to crush this guy because he embarrassed me. These people have never been to any form of combat like Matt's been.
That's what I mean, is that...
They have, but they don't care. And this is the common thread that I see, that I am going to pull back, to Eddie Gallagher and Brad Geary and Jay Cal and all of those things, where they pursue these vindictive prosecutions because they are angry at the individual as opposed to thinking about what is fair. And so because they're angry and because they have power, they will have NCIS go after people and do these type of things, or Air Force OSI or CID or FBI, whoever, or whatever the British equivalent is for JCal. And ultimately, you're unleashing complete incompetence from these investigative agencies to try to pursue, what is a political persecution. NCIS was so bad years ago. It used to be called NIS, Naval Investigative Service. They had to do a whole rebrand and restructure because NIS had become such a politically driven organization to go out there, and anybody that the admirals didn't like, they would, trump up these investigations, usually trying to accuse somebody of homosexuality because that's the easiest way to get rid of somebody you don't like. It used to be called the Admiral's Gestapo. Okay, they went through a reorganization, a rebranding, and yet in a lot of ways they're still doing the same thing. They did the same thing to Matt. And I sit here and I look at it and I say, they take a guy who has given his entire life to this. He's given his youth, his health, everything, put it out on the line to try and keep us safe, to go out there and continuously deploy. And when he gets to the end, they try and throw him away. It's something Eddie Gallagher and I talk about all the time, where you sign up knowing that you're expendable, but they treat you as if you're disposable. And so what Matt went through of being excommunicated from the community, and you know this better as well as anybody else, when you go through that training, you become a SEAL. That is, for a lot of people, that's your identity. That's your tribe. That's, what you are connected to. And when you're then removed from that and excommunicated from it, it has so many more negative effects. PTSD is something that is exacerbated through a feeling of abandonment. And yet the command, the military as a whole, the leadership is taking not just a feeling of abandonment, they're creating actual abandonment. And so many other clients that I've represented that you've never heard of, that because the command is angry with them, they will not only kick them out, but they'll take their trident on the way out. And they'll say, you were never a SEAL. Mm-hmm. Okay? Guys who've done plenty of deployments. And I have clients like this, where you look at their DD-214, and they've done 15 deployments, Purple Heart, Silver Star, no trident, not a member of the community. And so when they then go to try and go to a veterans event or something, they want to go to Navy SEAL Foundation for help because they're having difficulty. Navy SEAL Foundation says, nope, you're not a SEAL. You're not a part of us. You can't even attend reunions. And, Matt is lucky that he got out and then they got angry at him after he already had his DD-214, because had his timeline been a little bit different, I have no doubt that NSW would have wanted to take his trident away from him. So he'd be out there as one of the guys that put bullets into bin Laden's body, but they could say, oh, he's not a SEAL. They tried to do it to Eddie Gallagher. They tried to take his trident away. It is bad for our people. It goes right back to what Matt was saying about leaders should be taking care of our people and not focusing on writing up their own awards and, chasing their next promotion. And what they do is they see these people as an impediment to their next promotion. So if somebody makes them angry or embarrasses them in any way, well, we have to destroy them because they hurt my ability to get another star. So that's kind of thematically.
How did Matt hurt somebody's ability to get another star?
Because his superiors now have to answer to Obama of, why did you let your guy put out his book before my version of events? Mm-hmm.
It's that petty.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes down from the top of, I want you to take care of this.
Okay. So if that's true, how were all these other people, Leon Panetta, mm-hmm. Obama? I mean, I get it. I know what it is.
It's the content. It's the content.
It's the rank.
It's the rank.
The only fucking thing that matters.
It's the rank and it's the content. We like what their rank is and we like what they have to say. Therefore, we're going to let them get away with it. John Bolton, perfect example. Former National Security Advisor. He goes out and writes a book. He doesn't get the pre-publication review. They start to go through putting him through the exact same process that they did to Matt. Investigations and everything. But the election happens. And so all of a sudden the White House turns over to Biden. Well, Biden liked what Bolton had to say because he wrote that Trump was bad. So therefore, all of a sudden the Biden DOJ puts the brakes on and says, oh, we're going to let Bolton go. let his book that has classified material in it go right ahead. Let him keep all of the revenue from his book that has classified material in it. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we still crush Matt, whose book doesn't have classified material in it, but has content that we don't like. You know, when his attorney, Kevin Podlowski was the attorney that had given them this bad advice. When he settled that lawsuit, one of the biggest impediments that Matt had during this process was that the attorney had lied to DOJ. He lied and he said, I told him he had to get it reviewed. And that was their linchpin. Because his whole defense is, my attorney told me this was okay. And they could say, well, we talked to him and he said that's not true. So now they have a witness against him. They get him to take this settlement, and I didn't represent him at the time, by the way. He then gets this malpractice settlement. And in the malpractice settlement, I got to give him a lot of credit. I didn't handle it, but whoever handled it got him a great settlement where Podlowski actually admitted in the settlement that he had given him this advice. Usually settlements have one of those, neither side admit that they did anything wrong, but he actually admitted what he did. And that was something that, I then came into this and I was able to take that back to DOJ and say, see, you brought this whole thing based on a false premise. You had a witness who lied to you, which is a crime, by the way. You have a witness who lied to you, and now you have proof that everything Matt did was on the advice of counsel. And one thing to understand is that the consent decree that he entered into on this, the cause of action was breach of contract. He breached the contract that says before you submit something, or before you publish something, you have to submit it for pre-publication review. If he was relying upon the advice of counsel, that's a defense that he would have had it been litigated at the time. Because we finally had this information, I went to the court and I tried to file a motion to vacate the consent decree and to change, the result to match the actual facts. DOJ opposed me. They said, too much time has passed. This should have been done, within, whatever it is, 6 months of the consent decree being entered. Even though the statute does say, yes, there's a timeline, but it says, and it can go after that for good cause shown. The good cause shown, from my perspective, is this is something that he didn't have at the time. As soon as we had it available, we brought it to the court. But the problem is that the courts don't really like to change things. They like finality in the judgments. And so ultimately, DOJ opposed us, not factually, just on, well, they should have done this earlier. And the judge agreed and said, well, too much time has passed, so we're going to leave this judgment in place. At that point, that left me with no real options other than to try and negotiate down for him. And the only way that we could really negotiate down at that point was based on an ability to pay. Now, there's a key aspect of this financial settlement that you need to understand, which is taxes. Because when he got the money from the book originally, he paid taxes on it. A portion went to his attorney. Now, you have, $1.5 million. As he said, he's got, a little bit under $4,000 he's got to pay back a month. But he's not allowed to claim that as a deduction or an expense on his tax return. So in order to make the $4,000 payments, he's got to earn $6,000 a month pre-tax just to pay that. So that $1.5 million figure, he really has to earn, more like $2.5 to $3 million just to be able to pay it. And that's not something, the IRS is not going to give him any break on that. He's essentially paying tax on this thing twice. He paid the tax on it when he first got the revenue, and he's paying tax on it a second time to try